logical perspective. I'm going to be sharing a few of the really poignant thoughts from Liz Green's book called Saturn, A New Look at an Old Devil. There are just a few little pieces of a section of the book dedicated to Saturn and Aries that I'm going to pull from today. And then I have a list of things to watch for in terms of the kinds of experiences we are likely to have emotionally, psychologically, mentally, while Saturn is in Aries over the next couple of years. Um, I think that this is important to do to look at a planet from several different paradigms within astrology. The evolutionary paradigm, not that I perfectly represented it in our video yesterday, but looking at it from that standpoint of what is the soul here to learn and how is it going to grow along the timeline of Saturn and Aries. Today, let's look at the most likely themes that are going to come up emotionally, psychologically, internally, in terms of this upcoming transit. We did some horoscopes already. So today we'll be looking at Saturn from a psychological perspective. We'll just be giving you some themes to watch for. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at the major transits coming in over the weekend. We've got a Sun trine to Pluto while Mercury and Uranus are conjoining. So we'll round off the week tomorrow by looking at that. Today, a little bit more on Saturn's entrance into Aries. So before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps our channel to grow so much when people out there who watch regularly decide to give us the little subscription, click the little subscription button, helps us a lot. We want this to be a home for your daily spiritual practice with astrology. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on my website, which is nightlightastrology.com. A bunch of cool events coming up at Nightlight. A bunch of them are also free. Go to the events page, click on in-person events. If you're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, we are holding a summer solstice gathering at the Grapevine Collective in Minneapolis on June 21st from 6 to 8:30 p.m. We'll be doing a little meditation time together and just some time for community as well. It's free to attend. Just make sure we know that you're coming. Click the RSVP button. Go to the events page, click on speaker series. You'll see that our free seasonal speaker series talks are coming up in June. Free to attend. Just register. We'll give you the link. If you can't attend, you get the replay afterward. So check those out. Some great speakers coming up, giving talks that are really suitable for students of all levels. So check those topics out there. And then go to the events page, click on live talks, and you'll see my June webinar on June 19th is going to be focusing on Uranus and Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius. I've titled the talk When New Objects Appear in the Sky. I think you guys will really enjoy that one. A lot of research on the upcoming Uranus-Pluto trine that I'll be presenting in that talk. We'll look at some instances of historical trines between those two planets. Go to courses, click on first year course, and you will see that we are in enrollment season. June 22nd is the next first year program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. At the end of today's video, you'll find an informational video telling you all that you need to know about the program. And at the bottom of the page here, you'll find the payment options for registration, as well as tuition assistance. So if you're someone who needs a little bit of help to make the program happen, please do take advantage of that. It offers you a sliding scale within which to set your own price. We make sure that that's available for people who might be hurting financially or just on a really tight, limited income. I don't think that astrology should be set aside for just one, socioeconomic bracket. So that's kind of a part of our mission here for a long time at Nightlight, and it is the success of the Kickstarter supporting the channel every year that allows us to make sure that that pricing is really available for everything we do. You can also find if you haven't ever checked it out, you can see in rewarding and enrich. So I hope thoughts matter. But that portion is just to, but a lot of money on an intellectual anxiety to the sign of Aries coming up here on Sunday, Saturday into Sunday. So let's put it up on the screen. Here you can see Sunday, May 25th, by early morning, Saturn has entered Aries. It's technically late Saturday night, the 24th into the 25th, depending on your time zone. But we've been looking at this all week from a variety of perspectives, so I hope that you have found the content thus far rewarding and enriching. I am today going to share just a few little thoughts from Liz Green, who is really the great, I would say, the great master of modern psychological astrology. Without her, so much of modern astrology wouldn't be what it is. She is a hero to me on an intellectual level, and just someone that I've modeled a lot of my work and practice after. Never met her, never studied under her personally, but I've read her entire library of works. Have them all in my closet. And I think if you haven't read her, that you ought to. All right, so you'll see that occasionally I draw from her texts for inspiration. James Hillman being my other main homie that I often draw on in these presentations. So anyway, the book today is Saturn: A New Look at an Old Devil by Liz Green. Go pick up a copy. You can get it on Amazon. Um, I know for sure it's on Amazon. Maybe there's another place you can pick it up too, but that's the one that comes to my mind right away. Now, the portion of the book where she takes Saturn through the signs is really interesting. Um, she conflates signs with houses in the way that is typical of modern astrology. Hellenistic astrologers don't do that. We've discovered really since the publication of many of the ancient texts in the English language, which happens kind of like the 80s, 90s, progressively, that there was likely a very, very
Oh,
different rationale
babe.
behind the meaning of the houses than the idea that they take their meaning from the signs.
Babe,
So,
I love you. You're
all of
amazing.
that is just to say that if you read
Thank
this
you,
text and you're a
darling. Thank you,
Hellenistic
my
student, you may
everything.
notice that the way that houses and
Thank you,
signs are talked
precious. You're
about are
amazing.
conflated. We don't do that in Hellenistic
Thank you,
astrology
babe. I
so
love
much,
you.
but there's still so much to learn from this section and from all of her texts that I don't really think it's a big deal. Anyway, in this section, she says a few things, and I want to do two things today based on this section and some of the things that she says. I want to give you three things to watch for given the psychological nature of Saturn and Aries. Now, often you'll see me go for five. When I was writing up my notes this morning for this presentation, I really felt like these three were the ones I wanted to go with. So three rather than five, just live with it. Oh, anyway, and then as I go, I want to remind you of the last time that Saturn was in Aries and give you some prompts or some ideas of how you could look at these themes relative to the last time Saturn was in Aries if you were around back then. Some of you who are coming up on your first Saturn return or just had one may not even remember this period of time. It was very vivid for me because I'm, turning 44 this summer, so I was old enough to have a very rich Saturn and Aries experience the last time around. So as I go through these themes and through a few little excerpts from Liz Green's book, I'm going to reflect on that period of time in my life and how these themes that she mentioned psychologically were active. And I'll tell you kind of the prompts that I gave myself as I was writing the talk today that you could use as a way of reflecting upon the last time Saturn was in Aries if you choose to do so. So I hope you'll find this meaningful and, useful as always. So actually, before I read the section, I guess it would make sense. Sorry, I was kind of going backward here. Let's look at the last time Saturn was in Aries, just, for refresher. I'm going to take everything out of the chart right now except for Saturn so that the view is sort of simpler. And let's do that. Now let's go back to the last time that Saturn was in Aries. Okay, so Saturn was in Aries in 1995. Oh, no, sorry, we're in Pisces.
I'm not advertising
So what
away.
I
I'm
find
just
so
saying.
interesting is
That's
Saturn
with Russell
moves into
Westbrook, Rob
Aries in about
Gronkowski, and
April
Giancarlo
of
Stanton.
1996. As soon as Saturn moves into Aries in 1996, we are in Saturn and Aries territory. Now, Saturn goes into Aries and retrogrades, but does not go back into Pisces as it will this time. So April of 96 is really the start of the Saturn and Aries journey. And then Saturn stays in the sign of Aries and doesn't enter Taurus until, here we go, back this up just a touch, about June of 1998. So April 96 to June 98. That's about 2 years. Now, Saturn's going to enter Taurus, and then Saturn is going to retrograde and dip back into Aries in October of 1998 and does not turn direct again and finally leave until March of 1999. So you can see how it's about 2.5 years if you add it all up. That's typical for Saturn per sign. So that period of time, spring of 96 through maybe spring of 99, looks like it's 3 years. Not all of that is Saturn in Aries, but it's a good enough timeline to work with considering that you're in a process during that whole period that is reflective of the themes we're going to look at today. So that's the timeline that I looked at to reflect upon these themes in my own life. And I'll tell you kind of what I saw and just the brief arc of my own journey during that time. And then I would really love to hear from all of you in the comment section today. If you've got a good story to share, this is a great one for a grabbed episode. Tell us about what your Saturn and Aries experience was like last time around in the late 90s there. Use the hashtag grabbed, say Saturn and Aries 96, 97, whatever it was, and then tell us what you experienced. We'll grab some of those stories and we'll include them in a future storytelling episode. So, all right, let's talk about the psychological Saturn and Aries. These are some few brief ideas from Liz Green to get us started. So, Saturn, she says, is considered to be in his fall in Aries. And from this, one might deduce that this is a difficult position for him and one which is not easily carried. Possibly the most difficult side of it is the tendency to be cut off from both the flow of outer life and the flow of inner life, so that the individual is stranded in a very small and very arid area of his psyche, difficult to reach and unable to touch the mainspring of purpose and meaning, which would enable him to face the outer world with courage. But I am inclined to believe that planets in their fall, and Saturn in particular, can offer to the persistent and perceptive person a much greater key to the meaning of the planet, and therefore to the development of in life of the function which it symbolizes. I really love that take on planets in their fall. There's a whole rationale from the Hellenistic perspective about planets in their fall and exaltation, the opposites, that I won't get into today. But suffice it to say, you're not just doomed if you have a difficult placement. Those difficult placements have a kind of archetypal and philosophical rationale behind them, which has to do with the tension between planets. So, why is Saturn in its fall in Aries? It really has to do with the placement of Saturn in the sign of the sun and the fact that the sun and Saturn are natural opposites. So, we're placing Saturn, the Lord of darkness and winter, in the sign of spring and life. And I went through earlier this week the uh, the example of what Saturn might order if it were a guest at the B and B of Mars and the Sun, and then what kind of things do the Sun and Mars provide? And that dynamic shows you exactly why it can be a difficult placement. It's the tension between who Saturn is and what the Sun and Mars, as co-hosts of Aries, have to provide for Saturn's own nature. The combination of which, as you can see from the exercise we went through earlier this week, can be very difficult. But that difficulty has value psychologically. It has value on an evolutionary level, which is why we're looking at it from these perspectives as well. So I like that she says that. Then she says, a planet in its fall must generally struggle, and if the struggle, which is if carefully tended, yields insights, an eventual expansion of the field of consciousness. That I could not agree with more. But what are those struggles psychologically that lead to that evolutionary potential? This is particularly true of Saturn, who, when placed in the sign of his fall, is often stripped of the courage and confidence, the natural gifts of the Aryan, which is required to tackle the problems of living head on. Yet the thing he wants the most is the joy of being free, of being first, of exploring unknown regions and meeting unknown challenges and reveling in the innate realization that his existence is guarantee enough of his purpose. That's a lot. That's a really beautiful passage, in fact. It's the person with Saturn in Aries who, with effort, has the greatest possibility of achieving this kind of freedom. Saturn may overcompensate with this placement as much as with any other. Consequently, there are usually two distinct kinds of reactions to this struggle between the desire to challenge and experience life to the fullest and the fear of being hurt, dominated, and crushed by the forces of a hostile environment. The person who eventually perpetually effaces themselves to avoid a struggle and who backs away from those situations which might call for strength, aggressiveness, or direct confrontation expresses one kind of unconscious Saturnian reaction. He often has no temper and rarely displays anger, but this can be very hard on the physical body because the natural tendency toward irritability is turned inward against oneself. This position is often connected with symptoms of a psychosomatic kind, such as migraine headaches, which are often linked with unexpressed anger and frustration. The self-effacement of this expression of Saturn is not truly humility, but is rather a fear of entering the fight because of the inner certainty of losing it. There's often great emphasis on being unselfish. A favorite keynote of Saturn and Aries are in the first house, but to be unselfish, one must first have a self to give away. And the difficulty with this placement is that in the beginning, until the individual comes to terms with this fear, there is no real acceptance or expression of the self in the first place. Saturn in the first, or in this case, Aries, often feels that he is never able to have what he wants, that life is forever thwarting his desires. This is largely because he doesn't ask for what he wants, or if they do ask, then it is with the concurrent feeling that they do not actually deserve a reply. So you can see how much of this has to do with self-worth, confidence, the fear that we're not worthy or capable, or that there's conflicts in front of us that we will lose. And so we may choose self-effacement or diplomacy or what we think of as peace or humility, when actually they're just ways of avoiding things, confrontations, tests of our mettle somehow that we're afraid to face. I love that she's mentioning this because this was very true of my experiences in the late 90s as I reflected upon it. I'll say more about that in a second. The will and use of the will are often frightening to the individual because they are afraid of their own will and consequently projects what they term willfulness or selfishness onto others. That's fascinating, isn't it? As they come to terms with this shadowy and powerful aspect of their own personality, I guess of our own, as we're all listening to this, for the person with Saturn placed here has a powerful and controlled will if they choose to recognize and utilize it. They generally find that along with their frustration, they have also learned control over desire nature, has shaped their personality into a disciplined tool. Although Saturn is in his fall in Aries, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and the energy is similar with both these positions. The controlled and directed will, coupled with a sense of purpose, is one of the more positive qualities offered by Saturn in Aries. But we have to cultivate it. We have to build it. That's the point she's making. And that will often involve confronting things that we're afraid of within ourselves or with the general direction or use of will or aggression or assertiveness or confidence or competition. Sometimes those qualities are necessary. Sometimes we have to lean into them, even if we would like to write them off with some kind of moral position, like, well, to be assertive is immoral or something like that. At the opposite end of the spectrum, the more aggressive manifestation of Saturn in Aries often appears, and this individual may be, at first glance, rarely distinguishable from the truly fiery type of temperament. No one is more outgoing than they, no one more prepared to take charge or seize control of a situation, either through sheer force or more subtle calculation. Their philosophy is the best defense is offense. It has not yet occurred to them that it is possible to control oneself without the necessity of controlling everybody else. So it's interesting to think about the opposite end of the spectrum, where Saturn and Aries can bring forth the problems that we have with self-control and a tendency to be domineering or bullying or just too aggressive. She closes with this: the use of will is something available to every human being, but it grows in proportion to one's self-knowledge and self-mastery. That might as well be the mantra for this transit. The use of the will is something available to every human being, but it grows in proportion to one's self-knowledge and self-mastery. I feel, as someone who almost daily studies the I Ching and the Tao Te Ching and the Taoist philosophical tradition, has been a very meaningful part of my own, kind of private personal development. That is a teaching that is repeated over and over and over and over again. Real power, real effectiveness in the world comes through the ability to understand, acknowledge, work with, live with our feelings, our impulses, our will, but to be able to let them, to be a channel for them, and with some ability to direct them rather than being governed by them, rather than being completely taken over by these energies and forces that flow through us. Very like Jedi training, you know? So the person who has achieved a degree of psychic integration is far better equipped to cope with life because they are generally aware of the purpose of life in a broad sense, and also more aware of the energies which they can
Yo,
utilize
what's up,
from
Toady?
within
What's up,
to
brother?
carve out a little piece of life
What's up,
for
brother?
themselves. Saturn in Aries tends to emphasize the fear of powerlessness because it suggests a clinging to the more superficial features of the personality and a consequent loss of contact with the rich inner person. Eventually, this fear can prod the individual into a deeper exploration of what they consider to be identity. So I'll close there. Some really cool thoughts from Liz Green. And just to, anytime I read something from another author, it is always with the intention to also promote their work. So go pick up this book. It's fantastic. I couldn't recommend it more highly. And sometimes I feel like the best
I meant to write
content
ninjas.
is to point to the masters, you know. Where have I gotten a lot of my ideas?
Two
my
very
learning,
important
my
missing
education
letters
from?
there.
Liz Green, you know, Richard Tarnas, a lot of others too. But and you'll be enriched as well if you take some time with Liz Green's work, all of her work, and her webinars and everything else she does. So now, in terms of the 3 takeaways that I took from this, number 1, the tendency for Saturn and Aries to present us internally with the feeling that we are cut off
It's
from
better
the
than
flow
what
of
else it
life,
could have
or the
been.
energy of life that is creative, potent, powerful, empowering, that enthusiasm. The word etymologically
Satire.
comes,
Everything on
if
this
you break
channel
it
is
apart,
satire. Again, to remind
theos,
everyone.
God within. There's a powerful level of freedom and passion and enthusiasm and charisma and spirit when we are in touch with that flow of life, when we feel as though we're an instrument for the expression of life in the cosmos itself. And to fear being cut off from that, or to feel like someone or something is telling us you're not worthy of being in touch with that force, that's a really difficult
That's
theme
like the
when it comes up with
mantra of
Saturn
this
and
channel.
Aries, but it is a theme that is meant to be confronted. It's a theme that's meant to be
Thanks, buddy.
heroically faced,
Is it better?
overcome.
Wrong to hear
So I
me
was
stream
looking
without
back at the
popping. I
late
know, man.
90s.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
The month that Saturn entered
I owe you
Aries,
so much.
my
I'm still trying
dad
to
gave
see
us
if
the
it's
news
proper.
that we were moving from my beloved small hometown.
I don't know if
where
the
I was an
podcast is too
integrated
loud
member
or
of
not.
the social community, from
Maybe I'll
the
do
church
like something like
I
that. That's a
attended
little
as
better, I
preacher's
guess.
kid, to my school, my grade, my sports teams, my I was in theater, like you know, music. Like I had a sense of who I was, and I felt very connected to the flow of life. I'm a part of the flow of life in this little ecosystem. Now we're moving. Now, of course, Saturn's in my 12th house as a Taurus rising during this time, but it was an immediate sense of being cut away from the flow of life, and being cut away from a sense of that there's this powerful thing called life that's happening, and it has this broad sense of being purposeful. I wasn't the most popular kid in the world, but I kind of knew who I was and where I was. During the next couple of years, while Saturn was in Aries, I went into an experience.
Here, let's try something. Let's try something, brother. I saw this on Facebook,
sort of anti-social,
but I don't know
going
if it's
through
real.
some pretty serious
Let's
bullying
pull it up.
events. And
we're gonna test it on stream right now.
Ultimately, I'll tell
See
you
if
more
it's
about the
fake
arc
news
of
or
that
not.
story. But if I had to describe how I felt in that first year, especially the first few months, it was I'm being cut off from everything that makes me feel most free and alive.
Language,
like a
Latin.
caged animal that can't be free. And there's nothing, you know, if you like, we have a puppy right now. Man, does a little puppy coming right into the world not understand crate training
English.
right away?
Uh,
You got to make that crate feel very safe, very comfortable. You know, have them eat their food in the crate, and then they get used to it, and then it's like, okay, this is my little den.
Bro.
But initially, when you put an animal in a cage, you know, and it's used to freedom, boy, it will completely flip out. So that's why there's a lot of sensitivity around crate training, right? You ever gone to a shelter, and you see, we've had a number of rescues throughout our life.
Are you seeing this?
Our marriage, I should say.
I gotta paste this in the fucking Discord.
When you go see the rescues, and you see
in the
how
chat.
sad and depressed they are, how their spirit looks like it's
man.
been killed. Animals will chew off their own paws if they're caught in a trap out.
Oh shit, we can't have Discord on the stream.
So being cut off from what makes us feel alive, circumstances changing.
That shit's so
that
fucked,
suddenly
dude.
we have
What
to
the fuck,
find
man?
that connection in what feels like a space of isolation
Oh, wow,
or
really?
oppression. That's a hard
That sounds
task.
Seuss.
That's why Saturn is in its fall in Aries. However, could you think of a more heroic setup for a story of transformation.
Bro, this Google
And I will tell
Translate
you,
AstraZeneca,
these
what
years,
the
although they
fuck,
were
man?
easily the hardest in
Bro,
my adolescence, also because of a
shit's
lot of
so
other things that
fucked.
were happening in my family, that there was infidelity, and it was like my dad was sort of starting down a path of sort of evolving in his spirituality but leaving the church, all of which was very confusing for me. I've written about that very publicly, spoken about publicly before, but there was a feeling that life as I knew it and what connected
That's so
me to
fucked,
a feeling
man.
of power and purpose. Not power as in I'm powerful, but power as in
I'm pasting this
there's
in the Discord.
something
I
enlivening
have to.
about life.
It's fucked.
It's an
It's too
exciting
fucked.
place to live.
It's
and
too
be.
fucked not
But
to
that was
paste in the
taken away.
Discord.
And again, the image of a cage kind of comes up, and then the question becomes, how do you find that within this space of oppression or confinement? And there's lots of ways to do
It's
that,
fucked, man.
but that becomes a really important dynamic. Now, I experienced this mostly psychologically. My basic needs were cared for. I wasn't in any great danger. The bullying was extreme in some moments, but I survived. But the underlying current was like, man, I felt like I was in a strong, good flow, and then something comes in and just feels like it's trying to knock you off your horse, So that becomes a really important theme. All right, let's move on to number 2. Another thing that will happen with Saturn in Aries is that we feel within us a sense of being disempowered or trapped or stuck, or we feel cut off from that life force energy. It's as though Saturn sets up this barrier, and on one side is a feeling of flow, freedom, life, power, like spring energy, right? That's Aries and Mars and the sun. And on the other side of the wall is a feeling of being trapped, limited, disempowered. And it feels like a really strong dichotomy. So what we typically do with that, as Liz Green was outlining, is go to one of two extremes in order to cope with the feeling of not being
Speaking of which,
creative, free, open, flow.
I just watched, this is going to spoil the movie Ip Man. Ip Man is one of the creators of Wing Chun, right? So this is the final fight scene, but it's really good. This is definitely going to spoil the entire movie. But it's really good. It's really relevant to what you were just talking about, brother. I hope I don't get DMCA'd. DCMA'd. It's blood, bro. That's not very good, man. Sorry, brother. That's not good. Take it easy, man. Build calluses, brother. Obviously you do. This fight is so good. We've watched it like a million times before, but we're gonna watch it again because it's just that good. No. Maybe. I wish. Sick. He breaks and then kicks. That's crazy. That was really cool.
醉拳，不外如是啫。
Stupid.
"我啲拳仲勁啊！ 水能載舟，亦能覆舟。而家乜水都救你唔到啊！嚟！
Ha
啱好，命長。
Wow, that was nice too. So sick, man. Remember that one movie that we saw that was amazing? It's one of the most freak. This one. Is this the one? I have it bookmarked. Born Invincible? I think this is the one. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. Is this not the one? Born Invincible.
All the many kung fu styles that have been, no normal fighter has ever beaten the technique.
Master has said.
I know this is going to be good though. is fucking sick. I respect that. Oh, sick. That's spear, man. I'm saying the other day, the spear. It's an amazing weapon. Like the Spartans fucking defended Xerxes with spears. It was insane. And shields, obviously, but...
Well, all right. I admit you're better than us. We Hapai killers admit defeat. But you're gonna die. That I promise you. Right.
Oh, that was a man. I thought that was a woman. Was that the point? Was he dressed as a woman?
Protect.
This isn't the movie, but this movie's pretty good. Fuck, that was amazing. Did you see that? That was outstanding. Oh, he hit him with the oh my god. He got him. That was a sick move. Attack with the sheath. And pull it out. That was A+. These movies are the best. They're the best.
Chief here! Chieftain Pa has just been killed by Yu Ming too. All right, Yu Ming too. I promise. I'm soon going to kill you.
Maybe this is the movie. This guy's psycho.
Are you the teacher of the Leiping school?
Yes, I am. My name is Yu Ming Tu.
Chief Jimpa, did you kill him?
Yes, I killed him. In a fair fight.
Damn you! You're gonna pay for that with your life!
Well, maybe. But perhaps with some luck, I can locate your weak spot.
Right! Try it!
So fucking sick. This is so stupidly sick. Let's fucking go.
Watch out!
Oh, I get it. The clothes. Oh no, he's invincible otherwise. Movie's ridiculous.
Senate Moonstep.
Sumen Pakwa.
Let him live. I'm shocked he let him live.
Brother! Hey, look!
He's sick. I guess I
I'll
better
teach you to
start,
fight
eh?
with me.
Like, this is really good editing for the 70s. Like, this editing's amazing. Imagine, like, cutting and pasting actual physical tape. Like, it's insane.
A lucky man. If I'd got here later, then he'd have died.
Doctor, he...
In time, he'll recover all right. But still,
The worst
no
part
more
is the
martial
double.
arts for him.
But why?
It's his heart muscles. They have been permanently damaged.
The fuck is this? This is taking... Born Invincible is the name of the movie. It's an amazing movie. I highly recommend it.
Damn you! Want to die?
You damn killer!
If you like, you can be Nick.
Go to hell!
It's gonna be sick.
Leaping schools seem to have a great number of cowards.
No, wait!
Keep none?
I ask that you be generous and let her go.
Since it is you who asked, I'll let her go.
Curb your killing, or you'll die too. Mercy, mercy. Teacher, 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 teacher. I owe you my life. Thank you, teacher. I'm grateful. Teacher, if I may, can I ask you, can't you ever be beaten? They say that he has to have a weak point if it can only be found. But we've tried, and he doesn't seem to have one. Does he? Go home, my child. He's killed too many men. He has to die. Simple justice demands that he does. Teacher, won't you please help me? I've long retired from this world. I cannot help you. Return home. Teacher, please wait. Teacher! Teacher, please wait! Teacher! Oh, please, please help me. No one else can help me. Teacher, I beg you. You must strike when he's not himself. He's not himself? When he's not himself? When he's not himself?
You can leave me now.
Sir! Hey, brother, I have an idea. I don't like it, but it might work.
Hey, what is it?
I'll challenge him. Cao Yong, Zhang Sang,
Sir.
Cao Ming,
Sir.
Zhang Tao.
Yes.
Yes. While I'm fighting him, you pour oil over him. Then you wait till I'm signal. Then when I'm clear, you light the oil.
We can't do that. Not the Li Ping school. We won't pull any tricks like that.
Now look, we've no choice. Somehow we've got to get him, haven't we?
You go rest.
But listen!
Stop bothering me. We must rest.
Sir.
Brother! Oh, how is he?
He just took the medicine. That may help him.
Oh.
He's not himself. No! What is it? What is it?
Sister,
What
I
is it?
know. I know.
Oh? Now what?
I worked it out. I know what he means. He's such a vicious and evil man. He very rarely laughs.
Oh?
You see, when he laughs, he's not being himself.
His throat.
Right. His weak point.
His throat. Right. That makes sense.
But only when he's laughing in triumph, though. So we have to fight him and trick him into thinking that he's beaten us. Then we get him right in the throat.
All right. Let's work on that. I'll give you the watchword. Practice. Practice. Practice, and then practice more. And then more practice.
Right.
Go back.
I'll...
Well now. By yourself?
I'll be enough.
Well, I promise. You won't go back.
We'll see.
Catch!
All right. Yeah. Destroy his strength. Sunman Part 1. Bastard! Laugh now! Laugh now! Just laugh! You bastard! Go on, laugh!
Oh, come, this young bastard. What's so good all of a sudden?
You again? You didn't learn your lesson?
Huh. I'll kill you.
Oh? You'll kill me.
Right. I'll take your head now. All right, you. Laugh away.
God damn you. Today nobody is gonna come along and save your little neck.
I don't need anyone to save me. I shall kill you.
Right. Think so? Well now, we shall soon find out.
Right! Think so? Well now, we shall soon find out!
What was that?
What was that?
You dare do that?
You did do that?
Right.
Right. Uncle Lou, brother, sisters,
Great movie.
everybody,
Great movie.
we must go.
Now look, you take care of yourself. And we'll see you soon.
Listen, as soon as I'm better,
Boy.
I promise you, we'll come
we
up
will
and
say
see
to
you.
ourselves, well, that's selfish anyway. To be strong or powerful, those are egotistical motivations, not for me. Or the kind of confrontation with our own fears or our own sense of inadequacy, the courage required, the assertiveness required. We'll say, well, those are pushy, domineering, aggressive qualities, and I think of them as immoral or lacking in virtue, or there's something wrong with those things. So we can moralize to keep ourselves from the kind of conflict or the kind of confrontation or the kind of what the moment requires, so that we can in a sense return to a feeling of life and flow. So on the other hand, some of us may be learning through Saturn and Aries the lesson of being too aggressive, too assertive, too domineering. It's as though for some people, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this won't be you. You know, you're probably all very like gentle, thoughtful people who are not domineering or bullying. But for those who are, the lessons can be pretty harsh. And by that, I mean, there can be a way that the ego gets checked and you get this very clear feedback that you're not going to succeed through will and force and power and bullying and domineering and pushing. You're going to be met with a kind of karmic consequence for that kind of behavior. And that's why you'll often see the rise of sort of like tyrannical figures, as well as the checking of those figures by the force of fate. You know, not that it's a guarantee that it always works like that, but you will see things like that happening while Saturn is in Aries. So on the one hand, we don't want to avoid struggle. On the other hand, we don't want to be too aggressive. There's a middle path where we learn to be strong but disciplined. We learn to be confident and assertive but not egotistical and domineering. And finding that middle line where the flow of life is located. Not easy. It requires real work. And even if most of us are good at that day to day, when Saturn enters Aries, it's time to level up with that. You know, I think of it sometimes like this. When I was working with ayahuasca over the years, there would be spaces that would be really, really turbulent. And in the beginning, it's kind of like, you know, when you're learning to ride a bicycle and you're like overcorrecting. And so you're just swerving back and forth. And then gradually your sensitivity to correcting kind of comes into the center. And so you're not going so crazy to the left and right, sort of, because you're learning you have to just correct more subtly. That process was one that really took place for me over 100 plus ceremonies with ayahuasca, where it was like, how do I handle the turbulence mentally, emotionally, even physically in my body, and the way I'm carrying the medicine during a ceremony. You'd be like, okay, first I'm wildly correcting, and then of course that was like coupled with like barfing all over, or screaming, or like all the purging, right? Good. It's good. Those spaces, whether you're doing it in meditation or psychedelic or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the point is just that meditation is the same thing, right? You're learning not to correct so wildly, and then you come into the middle. And then what becomes really cool is as you get more into the middle, the same kind of wildness exists within a much subtler space. And so it keeps getting refined. And that, to me, is why it's important to always have a practice of meditation or quiet time in your life, because we're really learning how to be channels, and part of the way we learn how to be channels is how to let it flow through us. We're sort of guiding it and directing through us, but we're also just sort of getting out of the way. And to get out of the way is also a process of learning how to let something not be too afraid or too aggressive, too timid or too assertive. It's like just finding that sweet spot. Saturn and Aries will refine that for all of us, regardless of how much work we've already done on it already. So anyway, think about that. Now, when I was mapping this out in terms of the late 90s, the thing that I thought was really interesting was that for me, this was a huge part of the process. When I was a new kid in a new place, at first, I really was avoiding struggle and just hiding myself. And then the bullying came when I tried to assert myself, but a little too aggressively. I wasn't being a bully, but I was just trying to kind of like show myself or try to make myself be more seen or more a part of the social fabric of this new environment. And I was doing so in a way that was just a little over aggressive. Did that mean that I deserved being bullied? I don't think so. Of course not. That was really shitty of them, you know? But nonetheless, the process was really instructive because I could see how, it's like I got to find somewhere in the middle here in terms of how to just assert myself into a new social situation. I remember very clearly that, initially being bullied, it was like, okay, let's just go back to hiding. Let me just go back to like being invisible. That's way easier. And then in that invisible space, I wrote a lot of poetry and just being totally honest, I'd write a lot of poetry. It was very angsty. I'd play my guitar. Everything was about writing off the people that I felt oppressed by, especially some of the ones that were being bullying, by moralizing or like putting them into categories, like, oh, well, they're jocks, or oh, well, they're this, or oh, well, they're that. And this allowed me to feel more comfortable in what was really hiding in fear. That's just me. I'm not saying everyone is like, this is just my process and how I've reflected on it. And so then, but I'm pretty honest with myself internally. Maybe it's my Cap Moon. I have a hard time hiding from myself anyway, most of the time. I said, no, like, this is BS. You're putting them into a bin that's really reflective of your fear. And so there were some instances written about some of these in my recent book, The Oracle Speaks. You can check that out on my website. It's under the shop page. So I'm releasing that book chapter by chapter. One of the chapters I was really more recently writing and reflecting on the bullying and how I chose to find some way of responding that was more meaningful. So it's a simple story from high school for me, but maybe you can relate in terms of what you find when you think back about the late 90s. If there was, like some of you may be too young, but, it's a good time to look back at. How were you working with those tensions between, hiding in fear or, kind of being too much? So anyway, it was a very educational time for me in my life. Number 3, power, will, strength flowing through us. And I've kind of already said this, but let's say it again. I think as the Taoist philosophy teaches us, and really, like, watch Star Wars. It's really that simple. If you want to crash course on Taoist philosophy. When we recognize that strength, power, force, confidence, joy, just that carefree, easy feeling of vibrancy that Aries is so reflective of, the sun and Mars being their rulers, fire being its element, spring, light taking over in the year, that is just life force energy. And that's why we sometimes think of the sign of Aries in terms of that phrase, I am. Liz Green said it perfectly. She said that the best Aries is like, you have purpose simply because you exist, because you are alive. And that's such a simple, embodied sense of purpose that's less intellectual and ideological. And you have to go prove yourself to guarantee that this purpose is real. You have to make a certain amount of money or accomplish certain things or have certain skills. That's all bullshit to Aries. They're just being frank. This is what I love the most about all the Aries people in my life that I've ever known. If you really get to know people who have the strong Aries confidence that's not domineering, it's just simple. It's like, you exist, brah. You know, sorry. You exist. Like, that's, you don't need anything else. You're good. Ride it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So can we find that flowing through us when circumstances try to make us feel like, well, you can't have it because this happened? No, you can have it because you exist, right? That's the test that we get. What a beautiful test, right? But not necessarily fun in all moments. Also, when we can identify this force as something flowing through us, can we become caretakers of it? Where does the Aries tendency toward activism, advocacy, guardianship, protecting things and people come from? It comes from the very basic sense that this vibrancy, this strength, this life, this force isn't mine. It flows through me. So I'm a steward of it. I am a guardian of it. I am a protector of it. I am. You can feel that. It's like the pulse behind Aries. So let it flow through. Protect it, guard it, cherish it. But it's not yours. And what makes you powerful is the extent to which you're humble enough to realize it's not yours, because then you become a really effective instrument for its flow, right? So can we do that work? Can we find that? Little sermon from the stars today, right, guys? So one of the things that happened for me, I'll close off my high school story with this. I recognized that at a certain point, my struggle to assert myself into this space socially, and even though I did find kind of a happy medium where, okay, I passed through the test of the bullies, I asserted myself too strong, got this feedback of like bullying energy, and so I went back to fear, and then I kind of figured out a happy medium. And then I'm not kidding when I say it clicked. All of a sudden I said, but what about, regardless of what these people think about me or how well adjusted or how much I fit in, what's the path of life that I want to take beyond high school, right? Because this was 10th, 11th, 12th grade for me around that time. It's like, where am I going with my life? What path do I want to blaze? What trail do I want to take? And having the courage to say, screw all of this. Not that I kind of graduated past like condemning or putting people into bins that maybe I was really just afraid of, or, you know, didn't like the tension of them being there, but just being like, what do I want, you know? And I realized, I want to study philosophy, because I was really super hungry for big questions, you know? So I left high school and I went to community college. In Minnesota, there's a program where you can leave high school your 10th, 11th, 12th grade years. I ended up leaving my 11th grade and 12th grade years, going to community college and getting double credits for high school and those that would count toward a bachelor's degree. And the state pays for it here. It's incredible. So I said, this is where I find life. This is the direction I'm going in. This is where my spirit is happy. And I have to sort of let go of trying to prove myself or find that happiness in an arena that is more about what other people think than what is in me, what is my own dharma. That's also Saturn in Aries, right? Power, will, strength flowing through us also means that sometimes we have to learn to redirect in a way that is more conducive to our authentic selfhood. And Saturn in Aries will say, are you struggling to find that life, that freedom, that happiness, that power of life in just the wrong space with the wrong people? And no matter how good you get at being confident or not shying away, or, you know, that all of those tensions you play with, how meaningful are they if it's not even the right arena to begin with, you know? So some of my reflections, I would love to hear yours. You know, what was happening between those years of spring to 96 to like spring of 99? What kinds of challenges were you facing? Add something to the list if there's something I missed, you know? Would love to hear from you guys. I hope you're having a good one. Tomorrow we will visit the sun trining Pluto while Mercury conjoins Uranus, a big transit over the weekend that we'll take a look at before we finish for the week. All right, after I sign off right now, there's an informational video about year 1. Come study with us. Diving deeply into astrology is so transformative personally, and then for many people you'll find that you actually may have the talent and skill to help other people with this beautiful language. So consider studying with us, and I hope to see some of you there soon. Okay, bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm excited to tell you about our upcoming program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. It is our first-year course in Hellenistic astrology that begins at the end of June. June 22nd is our starting date. I'm going to take you over
Could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear...
Fair enough.
Bernie Sanders would never come on our show, and it was because he likes to go on corporate news because they always attack him from the right. He didn't want somebody criticizing him or critiquing him from the left. If you remember, he wouldn't even let Kyle Kalinske come on his own show when Kyle was going to critique. Back when Kyle wasn't Malibu.
I forgot.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and Kyle said, "Sure, you can kick me off my own show." Because that's the kind of spine Kyle has, which means he doesn't have anybody. So he'll go on someone like Theo Vaughn's show, which I love Theo Vaughn, and he'll go on someone like Andrew Schultz's show, knowing that they're not going to actually. They're not into politics the way we are here, and they're not going to actually cut him off at the legs. But they actually do.
Schultz did, didn't he?
Schultz actually does do a really good job. Bernie did not see this coming, I think, and Schultz actually watch
work, Schultz.
and watch what they get Bernie. So good on Schultz, and watch what they get Bernie to admit. Watch this.
The problem I think a lot of voters had is, like, they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016. I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it, and it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported him.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice, but.
Yeah, so I chose the people who actually cheated me personally and cheated out my movement. So instead of taking my movement and extracting some concessions from those people, I completely rolled over. Completely rolled over, and I didn't ask for anything. And in fact, I then herded those people back into the Democratic Party, who did all basically the essentially same things that the Donald Trump administration did. And I told them to vote for it. And then 4 years later, I did the same thing. So what he's saying is I had a choice to make. The choice he made was for his own political ass. That's the choice he made. He wanted to be a member of the Democratic Party, and he told Chris Hedges, when he said, "Hey, Bernie, in 2015 and 2016, you should run as an independent." Bernie Sanders turned to him and Jesse Ventura and said, "I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader." That was the choice he made. He's trying to make it seem like, well, I was opposing Trump, so I had to go with Hillary Clinton. No, you were looking out for your own political ass. That's what you were doing. So this, again, he's a phony. And it doesn't bring me any joy to say that. I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, but I'm not a sycophant. I'm not tied to Bernie Sanders, the politician. I'm tied to the ideas he was pushing, right? Bringing jobs back to America, making the tax system fair, ending wars, health care that's affordable and works for everybody, that kind of stuff. So
he doesn't want to be like Ralph Nader, the guy that got seatbelts in cars.
Yeah, that's right.
And they try to a guy with an actual legacy that actually did something. Yeah, that would be a shame.
And so here he is saying that. So that's false what he just said. But watch the good on. So he's like, I had to side with the cheaters. I had to side with but it even gets better. Watch this.
It ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
It ended up being Trump anyway. Exactly what Jimmy Dore was saying since 2016. Why? It's going to end up being.
Again.
Let's do it.
Building season.
Yeah.
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate.
That all happened anyway. The homeless population exploded under Joe Biden. What are you talking about?
Well, Jimmy, it's not that simple.
The children are being slaughtered right now under Joe Biden. They were slaughtered everywhere. What are you there was Ukraine slaughter. There was the Gaza slaughter. There was homelessness skyrocketing. What are you talking? The prison pop. What are you talking about? I did it for children. This is so stomach churning to watch.
It's not that simple, Jimmy. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
The tapes that would come out of me and the things I was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Like my family and my career is too much.
But it gets even better.
Will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Fair enough.
Are the Democrats also a threat to democracy? And Bernie Sanders said yes.
What are we doing here?
What? So great, by the way, great job by the Andrew Schultz show. I don't know what that was.
I forgot the other guy's name, but good work on him.
Good work. That was fantastic. Because I don't even think I would have been able to pull that off had Bernie Sanders in my studio. I don't think I would have got him to it. He'll never come, but I don't think he would have. He didn't see that coming.
They're reaching out to young men. So remember, we needed Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we needed Joe Rogan.
Andrew Schultz is friends with Charlemagne, who supported the Democrats still this day.
Yes.
And so it seems like a neutral, good, safe ground with young men, and he seems to have a following.
Yes.
He didn't know he was going to get asked real questions at all.
And so they said, aren't the Democrats also so is that the whole thing? You had to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because we're saving democracy. Well, there he is admitting that it's actually the Democrats that are a threat to democracy, and the Democrats are the ones who rigged their primaries. So we haven't actually had a voice in government or a choice since 2008. That's what he just admitted to.
That was great.
That was great. Tip of the hat to Andrew Schultz's show and that guy. So I'm going to hear it again.
Ostensibly, there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Yes.
Fair enough. That is. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
So then, Bernie, why are you going around the country stumping for the Democrats if they're a threat to democracy? Why aren't you doing what you said needed to be? So that's what he's been doing. So he's going around propping up AOC because they want her to be the next face of the Democratic Party. That's exactly what he's doing. So he's trying to herd people back into the Democratic Party. That's what this tour is about.
Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salenti, and it's Wednesday, May 21st. And we have with us again Judge Andrew Napolitano. As I keep saying over and over again, by the facts, There's nobody out there that does what Judge Napolitano does when it comes to talking about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and how the loss of our rights day after day, and just keeps accelerating. And each week he publishes these wonderful articles. And one will be out tomorrow. Judge, thanks for being here. The article is Government Attacks on Private Property. Judge, with all due respect, the government can attack anything they want. They could kill anybody they want. They could steal anything they want. They could make up any crap that they want, all right?
Because, as I say in the final line of that piece, the Constitution is a dismal failure. It exerts no restraints on the government as we know it today. It doesn't even bear any resemblance to what Madison and company gave us in 1789. The federal government does whatever it wants, and you're quite correct, as horrible as that sounds. American presidents have claimed the right to kill without due process and without a declaration of war. Barack Obama claimed the right to kill Americans without due process, and he did so without due process and without a declaration of war. So the Constitution means very, very little. I mean, formally it exists. People still take an oath to it. We still have a judiciary. We still have a president. We still have two houses of the Congress. Functionally, there are no restraints. The court has allowed the government to get around every restraint in the Constitution.
Yep. You talked about Obama, quoted in the book Double Down, I'm really good at killing people.
As horrible as that is, he did say it.
Yeah, it's quoted in the book, yeah.
I mean, it's just reprehensible. You and I and people that agree with us have been attacking Prime Minister Netanyahu for killing people. We have presidents who claim the same authority. Now, Netanyahu's doing it on a massive scale and on the basis of race and ethnicity. But that attitude, I'll kill whoever I want and get away with it, pervades government today.
Well, here's the cover of Trent's Journal that went out last night, and how the United States supports the genocide that Israel's committing. Genocide Joe to genocide Trump.
Right.
Mass murder of Palestinians is America's way.
Steve Witkoff, who's the who's the de facto Secretary of State, the one that does all the negotiating with foreign counterparts, claims that Trump is a humanitarian. A humanitarian? He's continued the slaughter in Gaza, and he continues to fund the war in Ukraine, claiming that neither is his war. Guess what? They're both his wars. He could stop both of those wars with a phone call. The one in Gaza would stop in 24 hours. The one in Ukraine would stop in about 2 weeks when they run out of ammo.
Yep. Oh, and then what did Trump do? I mean, even how terrible Biden was, and that little clown boy, the Secretary of State, Blinken, you know, giving all the weapons to keep slaughtering the Palestinians. When what Biden did do, he stopped sending them the 2,000-pound bombs, and Trump turned that around, and more big weapons to go keep slaughtering and bombing the place into ruin.
Right.
No, it's terrible.
Trump has surrounded himself with an odd concatenation of neocons and some America firsters, but to a person, they are ardent Zionists. There is no one around him in the national security circles who is not an ardent Zionist.
Look at that clown Huckleberry, Huckle jerk, saying that God gave them this land 3,500 years ago.
These biblical literalists who exist throughout the Republican Party are just crazy. They don't care about innocent human life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke. It's a clown show. You know, last week we did a great show with you on habeas corpus.
Right.
You wrote a whole another, again, you got to go to Judging Freedom and see the judge's articles as well.
Oh, Root Zion, what's
And
up?
what
Welcome,
happened,
welcome. How are
with
you?
habeas corpus? One of Trump's
Well, two days ago, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, was asked under oath at a Senate hearing, what is habeas corpus? And she said it's the right of the president to exclude anybody from the country that he wants. And of course, that's not what it is. And a senator quite properly corrected her. It's the obligation of the government to come forth with evidence and the right of the defendant to challenge the evidence whenever a person is confined, whether it's for spitting on the sidewalk or murder. And her department, which is in charge of these deportations, has not been recognizing habeas corpus, and the Supreme Court has whacked them twice by 7-2 votes because they refuse to give people hearings. And as a result of no hearings, innocent people who have orders against deportation have been deported to this hellhole in El Salvador for the worst of the worst, without allegation, without proof of a crime, without conviction. Is it any wonder she doesn't know what habeas corpus is? It was humiliating for her.
Secretary Noem, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff recently said that the Trump administration is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus. Last week you were asked about this, and I want to clarify your position because it's obviously really important to get this right. So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
Habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the Live Free or Die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents, and to all Americans. So, Secretary Noem, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the President of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
She commands a police department, Gerald, of 165,000 cops. Now, they don't look like cops. They all wear khaki pants and Mussolini-style black shirts. And when they arrest you, they often hide their badges and wear masks. You can't make this stuff up. She commands 165,000 people that do that, and she doesn't know the basics of the Constitution.
Well, you said you can't make this stuff up. Homeland Security, made up by a little moronic jerk. A little clown boy of nothing, an arrogant, stupid daddy's boy, George W. Bush.
Correct. Where in the Constitution is there authority for that?
Homeland Security. What the hell have they done for us?
20 times the size of the FBI. Where in the Constitution is there authority for the FBI? They're federal cops as well. The answer to both questions is nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
And slimeball politicians making this crap up, which goes back to your article about the government attacks on private property. It begins with a recent Supreme Court oral argument about the liability of the FBI for invading and terrorizing the wrong home has brought to mind the dark and dangerous history of law enforcement.
So the FBI attacked the wrong house. They trashed it. They set off grenades, flash grenades. They put guns to people's heads. People fainted. The people screamed. You got the wrong house. We're law-abiding people. One of these people works for the government. This went on for an hour before the FBI realized, oh, wrong house. Sorry, and they just left. They just left. They walked out. So these people sued the FBI in federal court. Federal judge threw it out because Congress has written laws that immunize the government from the consequences of its criminal acts and its gross negligence. These FBI agents should have been arrested by local police for breaking and entering and terrorizing people. A federal appeals court sustained the dismissal of the case, and the Supreme Court heard oral arguments and really struggled with whether or not the FBI is liable for this horrible destruction of personal property. Court hasn't ruled on it yet. They'll rule in June.
Where do you think it's going to go?
I think it's probably going to go 5-4 against this family. Justice Gorsuch, the libertarian, will side with the 4 liberals, and the other conservatives will say, nope, we got to follow what Congress said, even when Congress is dead wrong. So anyway, it's what motivated me to write this. Some of what I wrote is philosophical, but I'm trying to explain to people how the government gets away with harming people, and how you have the right to exclude anybody from your property, including the government.
Yeah, you go on, you say, regrettably, none of this is law today, as the Constitution is a failure. Today we are back to search wherever you wish and seize whatever you find.
That's how the British government treated the colonists. They issued general warrants. A general warrant didn't even have a name or an address. An agent showed up at your door. This will authorize the bearer to search wherever he wants. The Fourth Amendment was written to outlaw that. We are now back to that because that's what the government does today. Most of it is done digitally.
Of which I don't have one.
Right. Well, on any computer, desktop.
I know, I'm only kidding.
The fact that you don't have one means the feds can't follow you wherever you go.
Like Hades?
When I'm in my car and this thing is in my pocket or my briefcase or on the console, they know exactly where I am at any instant.
Yep. No, I won't carry a cell phone. Judge, we were talking about Homeland Security, the money it cost us, and just a total waste of taxpayer, stealing our dough, just like they steal our money to slaughter people all over the world. And now Trump, they got a new deal, right? They're going to tax cuts, right, for the rich?
Yeah, the tax cuts for the rich will add $1 trillion to the deficit. Right now, the government spends, you know this better than I, you're an economist, more than $1 trillion a year in interest payments. The government borrows money to pay the interest on borrowed money. Now, how long can any entity last doing that? You can't make this up.
No.
And every Republican, except for Thomas Massey in the House of Representatives, there might be 1 or 2 others that are frustrating the leadership, God bless them, I don't know their names, is in favor of it because that's what the big guy in the White House wants. He's going to bring about prosperity right now and let his successor worry about paying these debts.
The Committee for Responsible Federal Budget reported that Trump's tax bill, this is in your Trends Journal, by the way, it just went out yesterday. And this is our economic update.
Right.
And we would go on to say that it'll increase the U.S. national debt by $5.2 trillion. Over the next few years, at the current debt level, the interest on the U.S. debt, as you said, was over $1 trillion a year. It's just amazing.
And I'll add to this, the credit rating went down. So the interest on the bonds goes up. So the feds have to fork out more borrowed money. What will happen? What will happen when people stop buying federal bonds, Gerald?
Yep.
What will happen?
Ray Dalio says the risk to U.S. Treasury is even greater than what Moody's is saying.
Wow.
And Ray Dalio is, of course, the guy that the founder of Bridgewater. And he goes on to say that the founder said that he warned that Moody's downgrade of the U.S. sovereign credit rating understates the threat to U.S. Treasuries, saying the credit agency isn't taking into account the risk of the federal government simply printing money to pay its debt. Quote, you should know that credit ratings understate credit risks because they only rate the risk of the government not paying its debt. They don't include the greater risk, and here's where you go, that countries in debt will print money to pay their debt, thus causing holders of the bonds to suffer losses from the decreased value of the money they're getting rather than from the decreased quality of the money they're getting.
He's 100% correct. This is basic economics 101, and the president and his Republican buddies in the House don't seem to understand it. Not don't seem to, they don't understand.
Well, the markets are feeling it. They're going down, and gold prices are going back up. And this is very serious, what's going on with this downgrade. And how now, of course, this tax bill, by the way, we put the details in here. The Tax Policy Center, back when Trump did the 2017 tax cut, the 1% got 64% of the tax benefits.
Wow. Geez, I wonder which category he was in.
Yeah, right? And this is the same thing with this one. We have a number of articles in the Trends Journal about how these new laws, all these new bills, they're benefiting the club. And of course, one of them is what's going on in the cryptos. I mean, skyrocketing the prices because you got the whole crypto club in there. And his kids are all involved in this stuff. All Trump wants to do is make more money. That's been his routine all his life. You know, it's right in front of everybody's eyes. So we're heading toward a wild time here, Judge. And everybody, by the way, that you want to see and hear information that you're not getting anywhere else, you go to Judging Freedom. The people that the judge has on are spectacular. They're real men and women. They stand up for rights. They're not cowards. They're not, you know, they're one of a kind. Who are you going to have on now, Judge?
Pepe Escobar from Moscow. I have Mabho, great fighter for peace, former Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. I have the great Phil Giraldi, and I have the great Scott Ritter. I have a very fascinating afternoon coming up.
So everybody go to Judging Freedom, because you're going to get information there from people that you're not going to get anywhere else. And Judge, thanks so much for being on. Thank you for all you're doing. And everybody, do what you can do to help change things. Do something positive.
Thank you for having me on, Gerald. It's often the highlight of the week, and today was no exception.
Thank you, Judge.
Booyah! Kasha, check this out, yo. I is here with my main woman, Naomi Wolf. She be well important feminist and has like written enough books about that kind of stuff. Do you think that women should have equal rights in the workplace?
Yeah, do you?
Well, ain't there the problem that if they start getting them there, then they're gonna start asking for them at home?
Yeah, and what's wrong with that? Research has shown, this is my favorite statistic in misconceptions, that the most erotic thing a man can do for a woman is the dishes, is housework.
Is do the dishes?
Well, after she's had a child.
I thought it was the figure of eight. The figure of eight when you...
Well, that's good before.
That is
yeah.
Baby,
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
All right then, no offense, but if you were so equal how come even the things that you claim that you is better at men, at like cooking, you know, you ain't.
Well, who says women are better at cooking?
All the best chefs in the world is like men, like, you know, Colonel Sanders, man or woman, Ronald McDonald. Them is like a million times better than Wendy.
Yes, a very good question. I mean, I guess I have to say I never claimed that women are better cooks than men. You're right. The great chefs have all been men.
Do you reckon now that women has got more job opportunities than men?
No, I don't.
Because, you know, you've got all the lap dancers, all the woman in the rap videos, whatever, strippers, you know.
A lot of countries in Eastern Europe are collapsing, and women like me, you know, have to sell sex in order to eat, you know, in order to look after their children. And there's nothing sadder.
If you did, you would make loads. I'm not saying you never have to. But
well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that because I'm almost 40, so that's nice that, you know, I could possibly take to the streets if I needed to. But let me tell you honestly, how would you feel if you had to sell sex, your sex?
What if people pay me money for sex?
No, honestly, I mean, I know, like,
I would be there every day.
So cool.
I would
right,
be late in the office 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 369.
I mean, would you call a woman a bitch? Would you say you're my bitch and expect her to feel really cared for and respected?
Well, with me Julie, I've got a girlfriend, and I do sometimes call her my bitch, but you know, in the bedroom, whatever, you know, that is, them words come out, and you know, she ain't got a problem with it.
Okay. Gee, I'm kind of speechless.
I ain't calling her a bitch, I was calling her my bitch.
My bitch. I'm sorry. Okay, my bitch. Okay, you know, I guess we're just really speaking at cross purposes because I'm so offended by this, I can't even tell you.
We're going to be talking about the drug thing. Let's start from over here. I mean, that's Moroccan black, innit?
Yeah.
You have to be a drug stick if you didn't know that. How much would this cost you on the street?
About 60, 70 pounds.
But you'd probably be getting ripped off if you had to pay that much. I mean, you can get it cheaper than that.
Okay.
So what is the names for it? I mean, we all know it's called the Bionic, the Bomb, the Puff, the Black, the Herb, the Sensi, the Chronic, the Sweet Mary Jane, the Shit, the Bomb, the Ganja, the Reefer, the Bad, the Buddha, the Homegrown, the Ill, the Maui Maui, the Method, the Pot, the Shake, the Skank, the Stress, the Tire, the Wacky. But is there any other terms that parents should be aware of?
Puff, blow, lots of names. Draw.
And what is its effects?
You can go paranoid, which means you think people or things are coming at you. It makes your heart race. Your blood pressure can go low, so you can feel a bit woozy sometimes. It's got a lot of medical effects on the body.
And is there any negative effects?
Well, those are negative effects, but long term, there are negative effects.
So if you wanted to get started, would you recommend this as a good first smoke?
I wouldn't recommend it, no.
So far, this stuff is all legal.
No, it's not.
What, these things? No, but if you has got it in your home, then that is cool, isn't it?
No, it's all illegal. It's all against the law.
But if you was using it for personal use or whatever, it's legal if you've got like half a kilo or something like that.
I wouldn't like to try that on.
All right. What if it's your religion?
Then you have to convince the court it's your religion.
But let's say someone don't look like a Rasta, but they's got a couple of Bob Marley records and it's got one of those hats with dreads attached or whatever. Do you think that would get them off in a court?
Don't think so.
All right. And which drugs is Class A?
Class A drugs are mainly the heroin and cocaine type of drugs.
Does Class A absolutely guarantee that there is better quality?
Nothing to do with quality. You can have total crap.
Okay. So what is these?
Chemical name is 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, which is why a lot of people call it ecstasy.
Ain't the most worrying thing about these, though, that it actually make you enjoy house music?
Yeah, you enjoy music? Yeah.
Is there a chemical inside it that actually make you dance like a bellend?
Yeah. It makes you dance.
What is that chemical called?
Well, it's the ecstasy. It's the actual chemical itself.
How many E's can you take in one night and still be safe, if you ask to do it?
Some people can take 2 or 3 E's and no problems.
Because I has never ever taken any drugs, and you can test me piss. But I've got a mate called Dangerous Dave, and I ain't gonna say his family name, obviously. But he say that he has taken 22 E's in one night.
Did he have a headache? Did he feel?
Well, he said he was like, you know, he found it difficult to get to sleep.
Yeah.
But the next day he was really buzzing, and actually the people on the Egham to Ruislip bus said that he drove it better than he ever done before. So do you think it can actually help you?
It wouldn't help you to drive a bus.
Do you think it's ever right to give animals an E?
Well, if you want to know more about a substance, I'd rather you gave it to a
Your
rabbit
pet.
or a rat rather than taking it yourself and testing it on yourself.
For real, what if they look sad? Do you think it's right to give your animal an E then?
It would help.
Because my mate Jezzy F once fed one to his dog, and it went mental and started barking and then tried to bone the cat. Is that kind of thing possible?
It's quite possible, yeah. Don't forget, 1 tablet is a lot for a dog.
For real. Which is the type of acid that actually make you fly?
No acid makes you fly.
But
Acid can make you think you fly.
But ain't there one, because my mate Dave said he took this type and he flew all around the room, and then his mum told him to get some ciggies from the shop, and he actually flew there down there in the bus, and flew back, and was back in like 5 seconds or whatever, but he'd forgotten to buy the ciggies.
Well, that's the answer, isn't it? You think things are happening to you. You may think you can fly, but your feet are still on the ground. They never leave the ground. And if you're not careful, you might trip up and hurt yourself.
So, with the whole thing here, what is the lesson, the real lesson that people out there need to know?
Substances, chemicals, drugs affect the way your body works.
For real.
Your body is beautifully constructed.
Thank you.
It works very, very well. If you take any of these things, you run a big risk of making it work not so well.
Aye.
Respect to the Ben. The environment has always been well important to me, innit? In fact, it was leaning against these very recycle bins that me first managed to born me Julie. So that is why I decided to do me bit to help out the tree protesters at Crystal Palace, West Side. Everybody is talking about the environment thing. What is they banging on about? I don't know. That is why it's come down to the tree protesting site to solve the problem of the environment. And maybe to mash up some police. Ali's environment. Wicked, we're here at the HQ of the tree people. Gonna go in, help them out. For them people out there, what is they actually doing? Why is they here?
Because there's so little space, from what I can gather, there's so
Aye.
little space left in London, and they want to put a multi-story cinema complex and a rooftop
wicked.
car park for 1,000 cars.
But is it going to be one of them new cinemas with all the air conditioning and the Dolby surround?
Well, I don't know, it would be a modern structure of some sort, but do we...
The day is wicked, no? Should they not build this one and knock down the crap ones and then build the trees there? Me meet the tree, me meet the tree. Me meet the police, me meet the police. We're now going to meet the main copper, the guy who's sorting it all out. If it comes to Iraq, who do you think's going to win?
It isn't going to come to Iraq.
But if it does?
No, it's not going to come to Iraq. This is being dealt with as peacefully as possible.
Is it possible for us to get in?
Not at this stage, because it's still dangerous.
Is it because I'm black?
Not at all.
Do you not think it's time for them protesters to start looking after themselves and protecting themselves properly?
Well, violence doesn't solve anything, does it? No?
Well, I don't know, it does.
It does. It doesn't.
Yeah, but then it does.
Not really.
Come
up with violence, can you?
Well, you can.
In what? In what situation?
Well, in a violent one.
One of the fairy folk. Who are the Pixie people? Are you one of the fairy folk? Who are the Pixie people? Are you one of the fairies? Do you like this planet? Do you want to see it go up in smoke?
Save the tree. We save the tree. Me name Ali. Alright. Me has heard both sides of the argument. Me don't understand either of them. But me is well up for a rock anyway.
You can take our trees, but you can't take our freedom. You can take our trees, but you can't take our freedom.
Freedom! Come on! We don't have a little go. Is it because eyes black?
So, what does ATF stand for?
Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives.
And what else does you sell?
We don't sell anything.
All right,
So
for
what we do here is provide a product for police officers worldwide, the explosive detection capability with the dogs.
how many people works in the different branches?
Right here, at the center here, we have 23 people assigned here to take care of the canine training.
Why does you use canines? Wouldn't it be more better to use dogs?
Right, well, dog's just a slang term for the canine.
But you use mainly dogs or does you use mainly canines?
In the United States, canine and dog is kind of an interchangeable word.
All right, for real.
Okay. Most of the dogs we get are black in color. We do get some yellows, and rarely we get some chocolate-colored ones too.
Ain't that a bit racialist, getting mainly black dogs to do this?
No, not at all. That's just a part of the Labrador Retriever breeding.
Right.
The black dogs are predominant.
But ain't it a bit racialist saying, all right, this is dangerous work, let's get the brothers in to go and find the bombs?
That has nothing to do with that.
Why does you choose dogs to decide where bombs is? Why don't you choose a more intelligent animal like a dolphin?
And again, that'd be quite difficult to have a fish tank on a cart.
But I don't know if you know this, but dolphins ain't fish.
Right.
They is like us, there's memories.
Correct, but they have to get back to a water source every now and again, and that's what they say, the extent of work you'd have to go into versus a dog. And then again, I don't know how good their sense of smell is compared to a dog.
Right.
Dogs are proven, they've been used for a lot of years because of their phenomenal sense of smell.
So why does they stick their noses so close to each other's body?
Again, dogs, they give out different scents. They let the other dogs know what's going on. That's why they're constantly smelling each other.
Because I once smelled a dog's ass and it was horrible. Why does they do it?
Different perception, though. Something that's unpleasant to you is unpleasant to them.
Has you ever smelled a dog's ass?
Can't say I have. This is Dabby.
What?
This is Dabby. And this is John.
Hello.
John.
Dabby?
Dog's name.
Oh, all right, safe. When they actually find the bomb, how long does it take the dog to defuse it?
The dog has nothing to do with that. The only thing that we use the dogs for, what we train the dogs for, is to locate what we call a suspicious item.
For real. Where does you get the dogs from?
We get the dogs from different guide dog agencies.
All right. So does you interview the dogs or does you get like one of the senior dogs to do it?
The different trainers actually will go up and will evaluate the dogs.
Why don't you use one of the dogs who's been here for like years to interview them? Because they will know whether it is good or bad.
Right, right. Well, we like to say our dogs are busy. They're out looking for explosives, so they don't have the time to go up there and interview the other dogs. So we do it ourselves.
So can these dogs smell drugs?
No.
Thank God.
Not at all.
Yo, respect.
You're safe.
What? Why? How does he know?
You said thank God.
Well, I say that out loud.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on me.
You're all set.
Yo, boom, boom, shake the mofo room. I is here with the main man of medicine, his name BC Everett Cool. So all you lot out there need to listen up, because you is as likely to be killed by an illness as you is by a drive-by. So let's talk about the human body, because after all, everyone has got one of them. So we is meant to believe. How important is the heart?
The heart is the pump that makes the blood take all the things that you need nutritionally to all parts of your body.
Why is the actual heartbeat so old-fashioned? You know, boom, 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 boom.
That's a built-in mechanism in the heart that is, it's electrical.
But surely, like, my homies out there would be more into looking after their heart if they had a beat that they could relate to, like a kind of drum and bass, you know. Then they would look after it and go, yo, this is me heart, respect it.
No, you're way off base there.
But why can't we use technology and let's say take out some of the bit, with all respect, boring organs and stick in like a CD player and like wicked speakers, you're like booming out, it's like a walking sound system. That would be wicked, man.
It would be wicked is what you say, it would be impossible is a better word.
Well, what about sticking a mobile phone in there? Surely there's space for that.
You just don't know what you're talking about. What do you think would happen to your body with the cell phone in there?
Well, it would be able to answer calls and all that kind of thing.
No, you'd start to bleed, you'd start to get infection, and before long, if nobody intervened, you'd be dead.
What is the brain?
The brain is the thing that you have to have. Without the brain, nothing else works.
Is the brain's memory any good?
The brain's memory is perfect.
So how come I can't remember my PIN number?
Well,
I think it's got like a 4 in it.
I could give you a quick answer and say you're stupid, you know?
Well, that obviously ain't the real reason.
Well, it's the beginning of truth.
Does all of us really have bones, or is it just what the media want us to believe?
You all have bones.
We know this is a generalization, but why is all skeletons involved in evil stuff?
That's just, skeletons are the last thing that disappear.
How fast do bones grow?
They grow very remarkably until you're a certain age, and then when you go through puberty, bones stop growing in length.
How come some bones can grow in like a few seconds, like a few inches?
That can happen.
But how come the dome bone can, you know, just...
Bone. Not a bone.
It is a bone, isn't it?
No, it isn't a bone.
But it does grow well quickly. I've got like 11 girls who I can prove it. They can give you written evidence.
It's not bone.
Do you reckon it's ever okay to end someone's life?
No, I do not.
But like with the cat, when him had a broken leg, we took him to the vet, and...
Your cat is not a human being.
Well, the cat was a human being.
No, please don't confuse me. Your cat was not a human being. Nobody in the world believes a cat is a human being.
Yeah, but it had human feelings, though.
No, he doesn't have human feelings.
It was sad sometimes.
I'm sure it's sad.
It was sad when they had to cut it because of the leg. Let's talk about a big thing. Death. D-E-F. I was talking about the thing that happens to you, you know, a few weeks after you was alive. That's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't spell it that way, though. It's D-E-A-T-H.
So what is the chances that me will eventually die?
That you will die? 100%. I can guarantee that 100%. You will die.
Right, he was being a bit of a pessimist there.
No, I'm being an absolute realist.
I didn't realize he was a player here. I'd like to get a second opinion on that.
There is nobody that I know who has a mind and a brain who doesn't know that everybody will die.
I like to think that 4 out of 5 people is definitely gonna have the death thing happen to them. 1 out of 5. God bless. Keep going. Keeping it strong. I hope.
You will eventually find it.
Baby. Aww. Keep it real. Yo, big up yourself.
My love.
Gygesz. Hello. In Kazakhstan,
Love you,
as we
baby.
know,
Thank you.
the
Thank you
new
for
age
watching. You're so
began
sweet.
in
You're
May
amazing. You're the best. I love you. I'm going to
when
arrange your
it became
photos tonight,
legal
babe.
for women to wear
I have it all set
trousers,
up.
speak
Love you,
in
babe.
public, and
Have safe
travel on
trip.
inside of
Talk to you
bus. Here in America, it meant something different.
First, what I'm going to do is check your chakra energy centers with the pendulum to see which ones are needing to be balanced.
So there is no hand relief.
Not a massage, just like this, hands on, touching. Your solar plexus is not open.
Last night I eat 12, how you say, beef and jerky.
Yeah, but it
Jerky,
gave you indigestion.
It make it come like water from there.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is just put some crystals around you, do hands-on.
What do you
balance.
mean hands-on?
Like Reiki, you put your hands on
Like
your
a
own energy.
like a Reiki Martin?
Reiki master, right.
Is a Reiki Martin a healer?
Well, he is a healer in the sense that he uses sound as a healing modality.
Reiki Martin we like very much in Kazakhstan.
So I'm going to pull the stones off of you. I just wanted to show you what this does.
Reiki Martin will come here?
No. I said Reiki Master. It's a type of Oriental healing, you know, with hands-on.
How do you know Reiki Martin?
How do I know Ricky Martin? I don't know Ricky Martin.
Why do we talk about Reiki Martin?
Because I was talking about a type of Oriental healing called Reiki. And you correlate it from Reiki to Ricky Martin. Let me pull these off.
Can we meet him?
Who?
Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin? I don't know. Do you have his address? You know where he lives?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
Now this is a spirit tree. This is an old grandfather cottonwood tree. Been growing here for 125 years.
In Kazakhstan, when you have an important tree or rock, you do a water from the farm on this.
Yes.
Can I do now?
Mark territory. Sure, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead. It's marking your territory.
It is okay for you.
As long as the tree doesn't mind.
Thank you.
And water here is precious no matter what form it comes in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to show you a dragon that lives in this tree too when you're ready. This one here everybody loves. And in many ways, that is an honor to the tree. To offer it water from your own body in the desert is about the most precious gift you can offer. So spitting on the ground many times is an offering that's made in the desert. Because you need your water for survival.
Banguran, dziękuję, no mogę zrobić domową. Banguran. Gygesz. Now I come to USA dog contest, which is like Miss America contest, only with dogs and ugly women. Dziękuję. How are you?
Fine.
And please tell me what you do today.
He got best of opposite sex.
How do you stop retard boys coming in and enjoying the dogs?
Just have to be responsible. Be careful.
Does this happen?
It can. It has.
Now your dog is a loser. You are upset?
No. No, I don't get upset. Some days you win, some days you don't.
You will put him in a sack in a river?
No.
Why not? But he bring a shame on you.
Too expensive. Didn't bring shame on me.
In Kazakhstan, when you meet a man you respect, you smell him.
Oh, yeah?
I will smell you. Thank you. You want to smell me?
No, I'll pass.
Thank you. Show me your dog.
You're welcome.
Bye.
No, don't do that again. Please, we don't do that here.
Why not?
No.
But we are...
Your distance.
You are my friend.
Okay, stop kissing me.
Okay, do not kiss. I am not a man who does it tonight. I have a wife.
Oh, good. I'm glad
I have
to
a
hear
wife.
that.
You want to see a picture?
No, but yeah, let me see.
I want to show.
I'm sure she's a beauty.
Do not show your wife.
Don't show my wife.
Do not show.
Nice. Oh, yes. Very nice. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Gracious.
I use this.
Okay. That's fun. She's uninhibited.
What do you do?
Well, I'm a professional dog handler.
Yes.
And I travel all over the United States campaigning some of the top dogs in the United States.
And what it mean? You have a very nice ears. Why are you laughing at me?
Oh.
Yeah, cheeky. And who is she?
She's my assistant, my traveling assistant, and I also...
And what does she do?
I'll let you tell them what she do.
Yeah, what the heck?
I try to cover her every way.
Yeah.
I prepare the dogs for the show ring.
Can I touch your hair?
Sure. It's been a bad morning, bad hair day.
No, it is incredible. It's a beautiful hair.
Thank you.
There is a very famous woman married to Azamat Bagatov who have a hair like this. You know her? Her name is Lindy.
Oh, mine's Linda.
Hey, your name Linda, her name Lindy. Lindy Bagatov. Why you laugh? You know her?
I'm just a happy girl.
She is dead.
Oh, that's not good.
No, she is dead. Can I smell you? You have a nice smell.
Thank you.
You smell of dog.
Oh, good, good.
Can I buy your dog?
No, this one's not for sale. Neither one of these are.
Can I collect spermatozoa from it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? No?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yes.
Can I collect? No?
Not now. We have to get a veterinarian to do it.
I will be quick.
I'm sure you will.
I have a cup.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We'll give me your name and number and I'll send it to you.
But I can do very quickly.
I'm sure you could.
How many years have you been doing doggy style?
15 years.
And why do you like doggy style?
I enjoy showing my dogs and
Yes.
competing in the breed.
I met a woman in New York. She come my room. She called Walter. I want a massage. She say she $50 for a doggy style, but there was no dog. Why she say this?
That
She asked me for money for a doggy style, and I say I only want the money for a massage, maybe happy ending maximum.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. Can I collect the spermatozoa?
Possibly.
Can I do that?
Oh, no, not now, no.
Yo, Hayoshi, what's up, brother?
You don't stop. Vibe is to stay alive. System, I got to tell you about the carjacking. Everybody gon' scream and shout. You see the man put the 9 to your head. Pop, pop. You could be dead, dead.
Come full, welcome to Staines. Booyakasha! My name is Ali G and I represent the West Staines Massive, and I is the only non-batty presenter on the whole of Channel 4. Apparently even the geezer from Countdown has been banned by Trevor McDonald. Allegedly, allegedly. The interviews I has done has been called the greatest meetings of minds of this, the 19th century. And over the next half hour you will see some of the bestest of them. For the first time in history, me has actually allowed cameras into the streets of Staines themselves, so people out there can learn about life in the ghetto. Some of the scenes you may see over the next half hour, some viewers may find well disturbing, especially if my sister turns up, because she is well run and has an eye that go like that. First up, me quest for knowledge, me checked out Major General Ken Perkins, who'll be the most highly decorated soldier in the British Army, innit? To talk about war hunting, look and learn. Wicked. I'm here to talk about the military. I got with me my main man, Major General Ken Perkins. Now, he's seen a lot of action in Korea, in Malaysia, in World War II, so he knows his stuff and he knows where he's at. Now, the army is important, isn't it?
Mainstay civilizations, you know, I think, probably.
So, is it difficult to get in the army?
No, you need to be physically fit, you need to be mentally alert.
So it's not just for people who are a bit thick, who don't have any...
Absolutely not. If you're a bit thick, you won't get in.
What about the SOS? They is with it, no?
Yes, yes.
They is the hardest.
They're the best soldiers in the world, probably, I would say, yeah.
Now, is it hard to get in?
Extremely hard, yeah.
Does it help if you've already killed someone? Because I got a mate, Dave, and he's preparing to go in the army, and he's got his own gun, and he says he killed someone. I don't believe him, I think you're talking rubbish or whatever. What about batty men?
Batty men? You mean screws loose?
No, you know. Batty men.
Ah, you mean gays?
Aye.
Well, there have been gays in the army for years. I mean, if you know, there isn't a problem unless you make a problem.
But a lot of the officers went to public school, and you know, there's a lot of gaylords there. Then they go into the army.
Well, they're certainly not gays, are they? Public school is not a breeding ground for gays.
If you had a load of benders, wouldn't the other side be scared that they'd bum them?
The other side? The other side?
That you was fighting.
War isn't like that. You don't have a real vision of what war is. I don't think.
So who did you fight for in World War II?
Who did I fight for? I was an artilleryman originally. I then.
And which side?
I was British soldier.
Did you ever think about changing side?
No, God.
But let's say me, you know, I was always with Man United or whatever. But when it became clear they weren't going to win the double, I went to the Arsenal. Whatever. When you thinking that the Jerry's was going to win, you didn't think maybe I'll go over to the Jerry's?
No one ever thought like that. No, of course not.
He was a special guy. So what is carpet bombing?
Carpet bombing is when a whole formation of bombers fly together and drop their bombs all at the same time to produce a carpet of bombs on the ground.
So why don't we do that on Northern Ireland?
Northern Ireland, do we?
Why not?
Well, they're British.
But they is causing all the trouble.
Well, it's only a small number of people in Northern Ireland causing the trouble. Most of the people are loyal citizens.
But how is you going to be sure that you getting everyone who's causing the trouble because you do the carpet?
Why don't you lock up everybody in this country to make sure you lock up the criminals?
Enough respect. Major General Perkins in the house. He put a lot of years in to the country. Time that your own started putting in a bit. Selector. It was right down here when we first realized that Britain is like a lady's punani, because they is both made up of many parts. And if you was to keep the whole thing happy, you must pay proper attention to all of them. Which is why we went to check out Wales, which me like